Hey there! We're going to learn Ramblin Man by the Allman Brothers. What a classic song. Released in 1973 on the Brothers and Sisters album. Written by Dickie Betts and sung by Dickie Betts. All the lead guitar is Dickie Betts along with Les Dudek, who stepped in to fill the big shoes left behind by Duane Allman. We're going to dig into all the guitar parts on this song, including the twin guitar intro, the other little twin guitar interludes that happen during the song, two really great guitar solos, and also a really cool rhythm part in the song. And along the way, we'll be exploring some educational aspects of this song and the performance, some connective tissue, including understanding the major pentatonic scale. We're going to learn an easy strum arrangement of the song. We're going to learn the actual rhythm part on the electric guitar on the song. We're going to polish our bends, slurs, and other phrasing considerations. And we're also going to dig into an understanding of how guitar harmonies work. Ready to rock? All right, let's get started. Hey there, let's check out the rhythm guitar part on Ramblin' Man. So this song is in the key of A flat on the original recording. If you check out any live version of the Allman Brothers, they're in the more common key of G. And in my understanding, it's because of the vocal. They wanted to give Dickie's vocal a little bit more of an edge on the studio recording, so they keyed it up to A flat. So we're going to be playing all closed position chords here. And on the intro figure, there is no rhythm guitar. The rhythm guitar enters where the vocals enter on the first chorus. And throughout the rhythm part on this song, it's always the same rhythm. Okay? With the exception of a couple measures in the chorus, where it goes. And then throughout, it's the same. And the emphasis here is on the dun-dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun-dun. And every now and then you'll hear the guitar kind of miss one of those upstrokes, and that's just in the performance, in the feel of it. You're not going to hit every single little upstroke exactly the same, and that's part of the human element of this. So, starting with the chorus, I've got an A flat chord here, and you could play a full bar chord if you like. I'm playing this kind of partial version of that. It's like an F chord from open position, like a long F, I call it. And this is just because I'm focusing on the treble strings, basically the D string on up. I'm not playing those low notes because those are going to be a little bit muddy in this arrangement. So it starts out with that rhythm figure on an A flat chord, and then just a straight down up on a G flat, and then a down up on a D flat, and then back to A flat with that down up, up down. Okay? From there, we do that same down up, down, and then to a D flat chord, E flat chord. And these I'm playing like the standard bar chord shape, but again, I'm just kind of focusing mainly on the middle three. The D, G, and B strings, right? Then we go back down to a D flat chord, back to an A flat. Then I go up here to the 8th fret for a minor chord shape, and that is going to be an F minor chord, and then back to the D flat, and then back to the A flat, to the E flat, back to the A flat. It's easier for me to think of these chords as numbers, so I call this the 1 chord. And this is the flat 7, the 4, and the 1. And then a 1, and a 4, and a 5, right? And then back to the 4, back to the 1, 6 minor, to the 4, and then the 1, and the 5, and the 1. And this is language that relates to the major scale. Every chord is assigned a number that corresponds to its scale degree. And this way, transposing things from G to A flat, for instance, is a real no-brainer once you understand the chord shapes, and you'll see those patterns on the fretboard. But anyway, that's just a little tidbit of knowledge for you. I'm going to keep actually calling the chord name as we go through this.
Hey folks, I hope you're enjoying this song lesson. But did you know TrueFire has over 400 song lessons for you to choose from? Sound off in the comments with the song you'd like to learn next. And if you're enjoying this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Now let's get back to it.
So that's the chorus form, pretty straightforward, and then it goes right into a verse, which is an A flat to a D flat, back to A flat, A flat, D flat, E flat, back to D flat, A flat, F minor, D flat, A flat, E flat, A flat. Then back to another chorus. And then right after the second chorus, the rhythm guitar drops out for those lead figures. And then the rhythm guitar comes in again after the guitar solo. There's no rhythm guitar under the guitar solo. After that first guitar solo, the rhythm guitar comes back in on another verse, and then another chorus, and then drops out again for the entire outro of the song. So pretty straight ahead, little rhythm part, and very sparse production here. You know, you would think there might be like an acoustic rhythm jangling along through the whole thing. There's not. This is a very clean arrangement, very clean production. Let's move on and play this part together along with the band performance. let's dive into these lead guitar parts on Ramblin' Man. Allman Brothers are just so well known for the guitar parts, the guitar harmonies, and this song is one of the signature numbers. And this lick is what kicks it off. It's this sort of intro figure. We're in the key of A flat. We're all the way up here on the 16th fret with our first finger on the high E string. And this first lick is just a descending major pentatonic sliding scale. So again, first finger there on the high E string, third finger plays 2 frets higher on the B string and pulls off to the first finger. Then the second finger is right there on the 17th fret, ready to slide down a whole step. And then my first finger takes it over on the 13th fret, and then third finger right there on the 15th fret of the D string, right there to my first finger. Then we got this next figure, again, kind of a common major pentatonic sound. Okay, so I'm going to hammer on first finger to the third finger, right there on the D string, and then first finger on the 13th fret of the G string, and it kind of rolls down to play the same fret right away on the D string, and then third finger is on the G string here, pulling off to the first finger, then the same thing on the D string, and then it closes out with my second finger playing the 14th fret of the B string, first finger resolving to that 13th fret. Now you're going to hear a guitar harmony on the original recording, and we'll get to that in a subsequent lesson here. Let's go ahead and move on to the next lead figure, which I'm calling the pre-solo figure. Now this little figure pops up right after the second chorus. There's a hard stop on the 5 chord, and in comes this figure. Okay, so again, mostly pentatonic. It's got that one extra note from the major scale in it. Starting here on the D string, first finger on the 13th fret, and then third finger right there in position. First finger on the G string, third finger, and then first finger on the B string, second finger. That's that extra note from the major scale, the 4th. And then we do a quick shift up here to the 18th fret with the third finger, because we want this pull off from the third to the first finger there. And that's the 18th and 16th fret. We're playing between the dots here in the key of A flat, right? So you pull off, then you play that note with a little bit of vibrato, and then you do the same thing on the 17th and 15th frets. So down a fret, down a string on the G string here, pull off, and then play the note again. And then we shift back to our original position, first finger on the 13th fret, and we'll do this little... So fingering wise, we're so high up the neck, you don't need to use your 4th finger necessarily, but you can. 4th, 3rd, 1st, or you can just use your 3rd finger, 2nd finger, 1st finger. So there's an extra blues note in here. That's the flatted 3rd, right? So this comes from the blues scale. And then down your regular pentatonic. And then here, you have the option to play that low root note down here on the 16th fret with your 4th finger. But I've seen a lot of live videos of Dickie playing the song, and he goes ahead and uses the sliding version of the pentatonic scale. So now this entire pre-solo guitar figure with the metronome at a slow tempo. 1, 2, 3. Notice I'm alternating my pick strokes, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. So again, you want to keep a good steady down, up on these straight 16th notes. And again, you're going to hear a second guitar part on this, which we'll address in a subsequent lesson. Take note of the compositional elements of these cool guitar licks. It's very basic, mostly pentatonic material, but the phrasing and the way these are put together as compositions are very unique and just sounds like the Allman Brothers. So I hope you've enjoyed learning these figures. Let's go ahead and move on.
Hey folks, I hope you're enjoying this song lesson. But did you know TrueFire has over 400 song lessons for you to choose from? Sound off in the comments with the song you'd like to learn next. And if you're enjoying this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Now let's get back to it.
Let's dive into the first guitar solo. Now, a little tidbit about gear first. I'm playing the Gibson SG here. Dickie played a SG quite a bit. He's most known for playing a Les Paul. Same pickups, you know, same tone here. These are vintage style, PAF style pickups here. So we're going for the Gibson sound. We have a sound patch that's a Marshall amp through JBL D120 speakers. That's the iconic Allman Brothers sound. Now I'm on the middle position on the toggle switch here that has both pickups. My neck pickup is rolled down ever so slightly. And watching videos of Dickie playing this song, I've noticed he was on this position, and it sounds pretty true to the original recording, so I'm sticking with that. So this solo comes in right before that pre-chorus figure, and on the live versions, the lead guitar is going to play that and get right into the guitar solo. On the recording, it's pretty clear that there's two different takes happening there. The little pre-chorus figure ends, and another guitar comes in a little bit, sort of overlapping it. So here we go from the top of the guitar solo. It starts with a slide, kind of from an indeterminate place, either, you know, I'm going to say the 13th fret, straight up to that 17th fret, and that sets us up here for our pentatonic shape, major pentatonic. First finger there on the 16th fret, third finger in position on the B string, and then first finger is playing that high A flat note, that's the tonic. Then third finger will bend a whole step on that high E string, and then right back down to the fretted note, releasing the bend, back to the first finger. And now we got the first finger on the A flat note again, and then he does that quick little thing. He does this quite a bit where he'll tuck his first finger down to the same fret of the lower string, so in this case the B string, and then third finger goes up and plays that 18th fret again. And then we're moving on to the next measure. So that little first one, okay, and now we're still in the same shape. We do a little pull off from the third to the first finger on the B string, and then play that note again, then second finger on the 17th fret of the G string, and then back to that third finger on the B string. And so this is all in a really cool rhythmic kind of country way. We'll put it together into context and you'll hear all this detail and why it makes sense. Now we have first finger right here where it was on the 16th fret. Now second finger back here on the G string doing that same slide down and up. And then first finger right there in position, right back to that second finger on the G string. And then the next measure, we have third finger on the B string, 18th fret, right back on the upstroke to that 17th fret there on the G string. And then first finger on the B string, and then slide down a whole step with the second finger still in position on the 17th fret. A whole step there, and that sets us up to put our first finger on the tonic note, and then a quick little third finger down there on the 15th fret, and then first finger on the tonic note, and we do that little thing where we grab that same fret of the lower string on the upstrokes. And those are very subtle. He almost kind of plays them really percussively, barely even there, but you hear it in the mix. So all the way up to there, okay? It's a bit of a run-on phrase, right? It's the kind of thing that once you pick these things out note for note and then you put it together, you're getting to the flow as to how cool this all sounds, in context. So here we are at the end of the third measure. Okay, so that's tonic note, down the scale with a pull off on the D string, and then 15th fret of the A string, and then that lands us on that 13th fret of the D string. It's the 5th note of the scale. It happens right on the 5 chord in the song form. And then we kind of fill that in with this. Okay, so I'm using my third finger on the 15th fret of the D string, second finger on the A string, and then, so that's a quick little, kind of tuck that second finger right under there to grab the same fret on the A string. Then we will lift ourselves back up to the tonic note by way of those 2 notes of the pentatonic scale. And then right away, have a pull off from the 3rd finger on the 15th fret back to the 1st finger tonic note. And then those same 2 notes again now picked. And then a pre-bend of the 15th fret, 3rd finger here. Overshot it a little bit there. A full step. There you go. That's in tune. Then, same little pull off. A lot of repeated figures here, right? And now we get into this one extra note from the major scale, the 4th. Very common in Dickey's lead playing to play that figure. So pulling off from the 2nd finger to the 1st finger in that position there, 14th and 13th frets of the B string. And then we land right here on that note from the pentatonic scale, and then a pull off from 3rd to the 1st finger, landing on the 3rd finger there on the D string, and then play that note again. So now we'll bring it on home with a big ascending sort of lick back to the high notes. Okay, so that's just sliding up the major pentatonic sliding scale, 2nd finger here on the 15th fret of the G string, up a whole step, and then 1st finger in position, 3rd finger in position, and then a down and an upstroke on the tonic note, 1st finger, then 3rd finger plays a little quick, note a whole step higher, right there. Then we'll work our way back down to the lower notes this way. 1st finger on the tonic note, pull off from the 3rd to the 1st finger on the B string, and then 2nd finger right there where it keeps playing that note, 17th fret of the G string, and then 3rd finger on the B string, upstroke on that 2nd finger on the G, 1st finger now on the B string, and then we do the slide down with our 2nd finger, a whole step back to the tonic note, then 3rd finger on the D string. So that's and then the very last measure is again that little pull off from the 14th to the 13th fret of the B string, and then down a note, 3rd finger on the 15th fret of the G, and then play it again, kind of percussively. And then 1st finger on the tonic note, pull off from the 3rd finger to the 1st, Working our way down, one note there, and then back to the tonic note. And then you pull off from the third to the first finger on the D string, and then a pull off third to first finger, same frets, on the A string. And then you land on that note, and then it's the downbeat of the next measure. So that last measure is like, boom, on my way to New Orleans. Okay, so you could resolve it if there was space to do so, but again, it's a very clean production here, and they just went ahead and cut it off right there, and the rhythm guitar comes back in where the vocals enter. Now, I've heard this song and this solo 1,000 times or more, and it took actually like really listening close and paying close attention to the particular note selection to get this down. So as you're learning this, you might have to kind of take it one measure at a time. I did my best to kind of coach you through how I was doing that. But once you get it under your fingers, it just flows. So stick with it, and maybe now I'm going to play the entire thing for you in context at a slower tempo, and this might help you to get the flow of this guitar solo. 1, 2, 3. There you go, appropriate to a song called Ramblin Man, a ramblin' kind of run-on little country guitar solo with a lot of these repeated figures, right? But just hang with that, you'll get it, I know you will. Again, it just takes listening to it a bunch, and hopefully my breakdown really helped you, and the notation will probably help you as well. I'll see you at the next lesson. Here's the big outro solo on Ramblin' Man. We have a chorus and then a chorus refrain, and you'll hear this really cool kind of guitar figure come in that we'll tackle here coming up. But then here enters a lead guitar with a big outro solo, super rockin', really cool. And it starts with this figure. We're back in our major pentatonic shape, first finger on the 13th fret here, third finger on the 15th fret, and on the G string, it starts with a whole step bend, then a release and a pull off back to the first finger, and then first finger will tuck down just to grab that quick little same fret of the D string, 13th fret, and then third finger will go back to that 15th fret of the G string, and then we'll do a pre-bend, and then release, pull off, and then play the note again. Okay? Then that lick happens over and over again on this solo. And then a little hammer-on pull-off on the G string, and then that same bend of the 15th fret, same little tuck your first finger down to grab that 13th fret of the D string on an upstroke. And then I'm going to grab the 16th fret of the B string with my pinky right there in position. And then a quick pre-bend on that same 15th fret of the G. Release and pull off. And then third finger there on the D string. And then play those two notes, pull off from the third finger to the first finger. Then we have a bunch of this kind of same stuff repeated. Okay, that's the end of that measure. And then all the same stuff, and until you hear this in rhythmic context, it's not going to make a lot of sense. So I'll just say this is the same notes over and over again, and I'll play it for you in a rhythmic context here in a minute. But next we have this same Same thing as we did previous there. Fourth finger up there on the 16th fret. And then a little pre-bend on the G string with your third finger. A lot of that kind of stuff. So let me just play this for you in context rhythmically with a slow metronome. Let's go ahead and do this at 100 beats per minute. And this will be the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 bars of the solo before we get into that, okay? So here we go. This is basically the first third of the outro solo. 1, 2, ready, and go, and. So in context, does that make a little bit more sense? Obviously, this gives you ideas as to how you can use this very same phrase to make up your own solo. And if you hear Dickie Betts perform this song live, he's not going to play this exactly the same way. He's going to be riffing on this. Just however he's feeling. It's just something you'll kind of get the groove, for this kind of playing. Moving on, we have a figure that repeats over and over again, and it's this. Okay, so third finger bends that same 15th fret we were bending before, and the fourth finger grabs the 16th fret of the B string, and those ring out together. And then you do it again, then again. Then while that note is still bent, you play it and release it really quick, and then pull off to your first finger, and then play those two notes just fretted. Okay, so. So that's one fingering option. Some players prefer to use their second finger to bend and use your third finger up on that high note. Or the fourth finger, either way. So it's up to you. It's all personal preference. You might see me going for that second finger sometimes for the bend, and then tuck in the fourth finger there on the higher note, or those are all options. It's all your personal preference there. So for 2 measures it does that. Then he kind of ups the ante by playing one more note on the higher note. And keeps going. A whole nother measure. Okay? So that's 8 full bars of double step bend fury. Okay, and then after that, we'll hear this a little bit more in context. I'll play this whole entire thing with a slow metronome click, so you hear it more in context. But right after all of that, and the band is kind of playing along with him, kind of hitting some of those hits and having this big build up. And then it's another cool lick here. So releasing that bend finally, pulling off to your first finger, and then next note down on the pentatonic, and then right back to the tonic note, pull off third finger to the first finger, and then this is a quick, that's a cool lick, right? So third finger, we'll just do a quick little slide up a half step, and then back to the first finger. So that's a pull off. Okay, so that measure sounds like. And then repeated little pre-bend release. Back to the tonic note. That happens for about a solid measure. And then he ties it all together at the end with this. And that's a really deliberate slow bend. And then I'm going to use my second finger to play that note because immediately he gets up, it's a really slick move, immediately up, shifting your third finger up to the 19th fret and doing a whole step bend. Okay? Then play that bent note and do a quick release and a pull off to your first finger on the 16th fret, and then back to the fretted 19th fret, and then bend it a whole step, release it, and then you play that first finger. So that sounds like. And then hammer on pull off between your first and third fingers on the high E string. And then third finger plays a full bend. And then release. Back to the first finger. And then third finger, then full step bend, release again. And then back to your first finger. Okay? Then we're back to the B string. First, third, pull off. Hammer on and pull off. Then one big bend now with your third finger on the 19th fret. Release. Back to your first finger. 19th fret. Bend, release. Back to the first finger. And then hammer on, pull off on the high E string. Same thing we did before. Whole step bend with your third finger. Release, then back to your first finger. Third finger. Bend, release. First finger. Then this whole thing closes out with another big rockin' repeated figure of. Okay? And it does that over and over again. It's like a pre-bend of a whole step, and then release and pull off, and then quick bend, like you barely hear the bend happen. It's almost like a pre-bend with a little vibrato on it. Keeps going. Then just the pre-bend and release. Exactly that many times. So again, hearing this in context, break down each particular lick, each little figure, and then I'm going to play it for you now. Let's go with 120 beats per minute. Again, this is slower than the performance. And here's this entire outro solo in context. 1, 2, ready, and go, and. What a rockin' solo with only a few ideas just kind of interpolated in all these different rhythms and very subtle variations, right? And it's a real signature part of the Allman Brothers sound to have those repeating figures and that the drums are jamming along, and it gives it this big kind of tension, right? And then a big release at the end, and the slide comes in, which we'll get to here in coming up in another lesson. You know, a word about stamina, right? Like, it takes playing a lot and having, you know, your calluses. It's not necessarily a strength thing. It just comes with, again, playing a lot of guitar and using actually as little effort as possible to play these notes. It is a bit of a long haul, right? Getting all the way through this solo. But with some practice and, you know, good technique, you'll do just fine. So let's go ahead and move along and give this a try with the band. Hey there. In this lesson, we're going to cover the second guitar parts, or the harmony guitar parts, for the intro, the pre-solo figure, and then there's a section on the very end of the outro solo as well. So let's get started with the second guitar part on the intro. So Dickie starts by playing the line. A little piano lick answers it, and then both guitars play this together. So Dickie's playing the... And then the second guitar part, played by Les Dudek, is this. So that's arranged in a tight harmony with that lead guitar part. You hear them together and it has a really cool twin guitar sound. So what's happening here? I'm just starting on the tonic note with my first finger, 13th fret of the G string, hammer on a whole step higher, and then first finger will play the 13th fret of the B string, and then roll back down to play that tonic note again, and then pull off from the 14th to the 13th fret of the B string, and then pull off from third finger to the first finger there on the G string, and then first finger will reach all the way up, either flattening itself or just reaching real quick to grab the 13th fret of the high E. And then fourth or third finger, your preference, will play that resolving note, 16th fret of the B string. So it sounds like... Now on the pre-solo figure, both guitars are playing the entire thing in harmony. So here's the second guitar part. You're starting on the tonic note, A flat, with your first finger, and then up the scale, third finger, first finger, all the way up a major scale here, second finger on the 14th fret, fourth finger on the 16th fret, first finger on the 13th fret of the high E, and then fourth finger here on the 16th fret, and then third finger on the 15th fret, and then you play that note again. And then one more time, really quick in passing, to those two notes. That's fourth finger on the 16th fret of the B string, second finger on the 14th fret. Then we go straight down this sort of altered pentatonic scale. It's a pentatonic with an added fourth of the major scale, and it goes. Okay, so pretty straightforward. Fourth finger there on the 16th fret of the B string, second finger, first finger, then third finger on the G string to the first finger, third finger on the D string, first finger, third finger on the A string. So here's that entire second guitar part on the pre-solo figure. A 1 and a 2 and a 3. Now toward the very end of the big outro guitar solo, once Dickie starts doing this whole... If you listen real close on the recording, you'll hear in the background a twin guitar part come in. So he's playing the harmony part to these lines. So where Dickie's going... Les is up here on this. Okay, so that happens to be the exact notes of the next lead guitar figure, but for the moment here, it's the harmony part of this. Okay, this is the root of the chord, and this is the third of the chord. So those are in a nice tight harmony. So your figure here, first finger is on the 16th fret of the high E string, that's your tonic note. Third finger is a whole step higher, and you're going to bend that a whole step. And then do that quick little release and pull off. Back to this note. Release the bend there, okay? So that's the first lick. And then after that, we're going to go way up the neck and do this. Okay. So first finger on the 20th fret, hammer on a half step, and then bend that note you hammered onto, 21st fret, up a whole step, and then release it, back to that first finger, back to the second finger note, whole step, release, back to the first finger. So notice I was like hitting some open strings. It's tricky to be clean here. My picking hand is actually covering up all of these low strings. There it is. See, I hit the B string. It's tricky to get these down, and you'll get the feel for this as an electric guitarist, how to dampen the strings you don't want to play. So let me try that again. So I'm having a little bit of luck with my first finger kind of dampening the B string. That's next level stuff, but as a guitarist, you're going to get the feel for this, and you'll hear it if you're hitting a string that you don't want to ring out, and your fingers will just sort of automatically start making those adjustments the more and more you get the feel for this kind of playing. So don't worry about those other notes right now. Just get the main notes down, and then with time, you'll get that control. So now we're back to the original harmony figure. And then the high one. And then we do that whole repeated thing. Then what? Lots of times until the end of the solo. Dickie's going here, and your harmony part is. Right? Okay, so to put this into context a little bit, I'm going to put on the click at 120 beats per minute. That's a good bit slower than the performance. And I'm going to play this entire second guitar part from when it enters till the end of the solo. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, it's a workout, right? And you're only going to be playing this part if you're, really diligent about learning every single guitar part on this song from the original recording, or if you're performing it with a band and you really want to get those twin guitar parts if you have someone playing the lead. But there you go. There's all the second guitar parts for the intro, the pre-solo, and then the outro solo. So let's go ahead and move on where we can practice these along with the lead parts on the band performance.
Hey folks, I hope you're enjoying this song lesson. But did you know TrueFire has over 400 song lessons for you to choose from? Sound off in the comments with the song you'd like to learn next. And if you're enjoying this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Now let's get back to it.
There's a signature harmonized guitar lick in the outro of the song. It repeats over and over again from the chorus refrain all the way through the outro solo. And it's kind of featured on its own for a few measures before the outro solo enters. And then it stays in the mix throughout the end of the song as kind of a little background figure. And you probably know what I'm talking about. It's this one. Right? So this is going to open up a discussion about guitar harmonies. Now, guitar harmonies work exactly the same as vocal harmonies do, where this is the first part, and that we're going to call the melody, the main melody, okay? And if a vocalist is singing that, that's the melody of the song. You hear vocal harmonies on the chorus of this song, and you hear them all over the place in vocal music, of course. And I believe the Allman Brothers got this idea to do twin guitars from the influence of country music with twin fiddles. And these guys grew up in Tennessee and in Georgia and heard a lot of country music and bluegrass music where there's a lot of involved harmonized fiddle playing in that style. And so I believe, in my personal opinion, that that was an influence on Duane Allman and Dickie Betts when they started putting these guitar harmonies together for the Allman Brothers. So you'll hear this terminology a couple of different ways. You might hear me saying twin guitars. And that, again, comes from country and bluegrass music, twin fiddles. It doesn't mean they're playing the same part. That means they're playing in harmony. So you might hear it more specifically referred to as guitar harmony parts. So when you have this figure, and let's just learn this figure first, okay? So the main figure here is you hammer on to the tonic note, which is your third finger here on the 6th fret of the D string. That's an A flat note. That's the root. And we'll hammer on by a whole step. Really quick hammer on there. And then you do this quick little filler note. You grab that real quick with your second finger. It's the 5th of the scale, or the 5th of the chord. And second finger plays it on the 6th fret of the A string. And it just tucks in real quick before that main figure. So I'm using my third finger to pull off to the first finger there on the 5th fret. Then you go down the arpeggio of an A flat chord. You're seeing the A flat chord all lined out right there, and this figure goes. Okay? And that's why I have this kind of mashed up fingering, because I'm working around this chord shape. So again, first finger to third, second finger tucks in real quick, and then the third finger goes up to the G string, pulls off to the first finger, then you got that shape again, second and third fingers. Then you land right there on your tonic note, right where you started with your third finger, and then finish it with this little third finger on the A flat up here on the B string, 9th fret. Pull off a whole step, and play that note again. So, that's the main melody there. So, the harmony part would kind of shadow that melody, but on the next chord tones above. So where the melody comes in on the root of the chord, the harmony part is going to come in on the 3rd of the chord. And then outline it the same way, just focusing on the next chord tones higher. So where this melody goes 4, 3, 1, 5, 4, 3, 1 of that scale or of that chord, the harmony part would do the next set of chord tones higher. So it would be 3, 6, 5, 3, 1, 6, 5, 3. Okay? And if you know your scale degrees and you know basic chord theory, this makes perfect sense. We're just harmonizing within a chord structure and within a scale structure and shadowing each other's part as closely in that hierarchy of the chord stack as we can. So anyway, that's just a tidbit about harmonies, about guitar harmonies. So we learned the main part. Here's the second part, or the harmony part, okay? So I'm going to hammer on to the third of the chord, and I'm going to use my second finger just to set myself up for the fingering that's coming up next. And I'll hammer on my first finger on the 3rd fret to my second finger on the 5th fret. So that is the third of the chord, right? Where the melody note played the root of the chord. Play those together, you hear the root and the third of the chord. Okay, then I tuck my 3rd finger down to get that quick little passing note. It's the tonic of the chord. And then you can use either your 4th finger or sneak your 3rd finger up there. I think 4th finger is easier. On the 6th fret, pull off to your 1st finger on the 4th fret. Then you arpeggiate this stack of the chord. 2nd finger there, 3rd finger there on the root, and then again pull off, landing on the 3rd. And then when the melody did on the root note, what are we going to do? On the 3rd. Okay? So there you go. That's the second guitar part there. So there's the original parts there, the first guitar part playing the melody and the second guitar part playing the harmony. Now, each of these moves up to a higher chord voicing. So now the lead guitar part, or the main guitar melody, moves up an octave and plays the same figure. And we're going to play it out of this position now. Okay? So, hammering on from the 1st finger on the 7th fret to the 3rd finger on the 9th fret of the B string. There's your tonic note, A flat. And then I'll tuck my 2nd finger in to grab that quick little passing low note. Then the pinky plays the 9th fret of the high E, pulls off to the 3rd finger, 1 fret lower, and then we arpeggiate the chord with the 4th finger and the 2nd finger, and then, okay, so that fingering, I'm using the 3rd finger on this at that point. And I watched Dickie play this on a live performance, and this is the fingering that he uses, okay? So again, you're kind of mashed in there, and the fingering is a little bit different than regular position playing because you're working around this chord shape. So again, 1st finger hammers onto 3rd, 2nd finger is down here, and then the pinky pulling off to the 2nd finger, and then 3rd finger, and either the 1st or the 2nd finger there. And then 4th finger does that pull off again and landing on the 3rd finger. And now we play this high, an octave higher than what we did before, on a high A flat note, 16th fret. Pulling off a whole step and then right back to it. So, there's the main part in its higher octave. And at this point, the harmony part has also moved up an octave, and now we're going to play that in this position. So 13th fret with our 3rd finger of the B string, hammer onto that, that's the 3rd of the chord, 3rd of the scale, and then 2nd finger will tuck in to play that low note, and then 3rd finger will reach up and play the 13th fret of the high E, pull off a whole step, then arpeggiate that chord shape, 3rd finger, 2nd finger, pull off again, landing on the 3rd of the chord again, where we started with our 3rd finger, and then all the way up to the high 3rd of the chord. If this is the root, there's the 2nd, there's the 3rd. Okay? And there it is, your harmony part in the higher octave. Okay, let's move on, and you're going to have a chance to practice each of these parts, the first part and the second guitar part of this cool outro figure, along with the full band.
I was born a rambling man. Lord, 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 I was born a rambling man. I was born a rambling man. Lord, 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 I was born a rambling man. I was born a rambling man. Lord, 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 I was born a rambling man.
Okay, here's the whole cherry on top. We've built up all of this tension with these repeated guitar figures, the twin harmonies, the big bends, that and then it releases to this lovely little slide part. And this is definitely an homage to Dwayne. And here's how it goes. When I'm playing slide, I tend to use my fingers rather than a pick because you can really control the other strings that you don't want ringing out. So I'm kind of covering up all the strings here and getting ready to play the high E string with my second finger. And the slide is on the 11th fret of the high E string. I play it and slide all the way up to what would be the 23rd fret. I don't have a 23rd fret. But that is the 5th of the chord. It would be an E flat note way up here. So I kind of have my little visual marker, and obviously I'm hearing where that is. But it's an octave higher than the note I started on. Okay? And then I go down to the 20th fret and slide up to it by a half step. And then slide down to that note a half step lower. That's the 3rd of the chord. Then I kind of move the slide here again to the what would be the 23rd fret, and with my thumb and first finger play the G and B strings and do a just a kind of a slide down in passing, and then back to that same figure again, and then resolving to the 21st fret of the B string, which is the tonic note, and then do that slide again. And then the song fades out, and that's the last thing you hear. So again, I believe this is just a beautiful homage to Duane Allman, who they lost not even 2 years before this song was released, and they were in the studio fresh after losing their band leader, who was an excellent slide player, of course. So there you go. That's the last little lead guitar bit on Ramblin' Man. Okay, you ready to give it a try? Here we go. Here's that last little slide bit on the outro solo. You and me together with the full band. Let's check out an easy strum arrangement of this song. The chords are very simple and the form is pretty straightforward. However, you'll notice that the original chording is in the key of A flat. When the Allman Brothers Band performs the song live, they're in the key of G. Every live performance that I've seen, all the way back to an early 1973 performance on video, they're in the key of G. In my understanding, the producer thought the key of A flat was better for Dickie's vocals, so they keyed it up a half step. So for our easy strum arrangement, we're going to go ahead and put a capo on the first fret and play this in the key of G, and it sounds like the key of A flat. We are technically here in the key of A flat, just playing a G chord with a capo on the first fret. So I'm just playing a basic G major chord. And the other chords we have in the chorus, which is the first part of the song, would be an F chord, C chord, and a G chord. Other chords we have are a C and a D. And then later on in the chorus, back to the C, G, E minor, and C. Okay, so those are all the chords in the song. And at the top, we're going to be playing chords all the way through the song, even on parts where there isn't an actual rhythm guitar in the performance, right? So at the top, there's an intro figure, that thing. So we're going to go ahead and play chords over that, even though there aren't chords in the song. So the implied chords there would be a G chord, D chord, C, and then a quick C back to a G, okay? And then we're straight into the chorus. So I'm going to turn on the metronome here at a slower tempo than the performance, and I'm just going to kind of coach you through from the top of the song all the way through where the guitar solo enters, and these are the main parts of the form. So here we go, starting with that little instrumental intro, and we're going to be backing up on the chords here. A G, D, C, and then C, G. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. G, D, C, C, G. Here's a chorus. G, F, C, G. G, C, D, C, G, E minor, C, G, D, G. And here's a verse, G chord, C, G, G, C, D, C, G, E minor, C, G, D, G. And then here's another chorus, G, F, C, G, G, C, D, C, G, E minor, C, G, D, G. Now we stop on D, and then a G, D, C, G. And then it's a verse form for the guitar solo. Now this is meant to be an easy strum, very entry-level arrangement. You can always fill in some strum patterns and make this a little bit more interesting if you're up on your strum patterns. So you can do something like... Coming up, we're going to practice this simple rhythm guitar arrangement together with the band performance.
Lord, I was born a rambling man, trying to make a living and doing the best I can. When it's time for leaving, I hope you'll understand that I was born a rambling man. born a rambling man. Lord, I was 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 born a rambling man.
That's all for this session. If you've enjoyed what you've seen here today, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that little notification bell for more lessons in the future. Make sure you check out the other lessons on our channel, and don't forget to head over to TrueFire.com for the full experience. We have synchronized tabs, jam tracks, and a massive library of courses covering all topics a guitarist could ever want to learn. Until next time.